The smarter you are, the more likely you are to procrastinate. Not because something is wrong with you, because your brain is doing something very specific, something it learned a long time ago. And once you understand what that is, the whole thing starts to make sense. You've read the books, you've tried the apps. Maybe you've got a color-coded calendar, a to-do list, a no phone before noon rule that lasted 4 days, and still you find yourself doing everything except the one thing you're supposed to be doing. Here's what makes this so confusing. You're not lazy, you know that. Deep down, you know you care about the work. You think about it constantly, you just can't start. That gap, the difference between caring and starting, that's what we're opening today. Because procrastination isn't random. It follows a very specific pattern, and smart people fall into this pattern more than anyone else. We're going to look at 3 psychological clues that explain why. And by the end of this, you're going to see your procrastination completely differently. Let's open the first file. Clue number 1, the brain's protection program. Your brain isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it was trained to do. When you were young, and this happens to almost everyone, you learned something about effort. Maybe you tried really hard at something and it didn't work out. Maybe you got it wrong in front of people who mattered. Maybe being wrong didn't just mean a mistake. It meant something about who you were. Your brain filed all of that under one category. Action leads to risk. So now every time you sit down to do the hard thing, every time you try to send the email, start the project, make the call, your nervous system runs a background check. Is this safe? What happens if I get this wrong? And when the answer is uncertain, the kindest thing your brain knows how to do is open Instagram. This is called avoidance as protection. It's not a weakness, it's a very old program running on very outdated data. The problem isn't willpower. The problem is that nobody ever updated the software. Clue number 2, the intelligence trap. Here's where smart people get specifically caught. The smarter you are, the better you are at imagining that everything could go wrong. You sit down to start something, a project, a conversation you've been avoiding, a goal you've had for 2 years, and before you write a single word, your brain has already mapped out every way that it could fail. You've anticipated criticism. You've played out the worst case scenario in detail. Your intelligence is working against you. Because here's the thing, people who don't overthink, they just start. They don't have the mental bandwidth to simulate failure before they begin, but you do. So you wait. You research more. You plan a little longer. You tell yourself you just need to be more prepared. That's not preparation, that's protection. Same program, different costume. The cruel irony is this: the thing you're most capable of doing is the thing you're most afraid to get wrong. Clue number 3, the dopamine math problem. The third clue is the most misunderstood. Your brain runs on dopamine, and dopamine isn't about reward. It's about prediction. When you open your phone and scroll, your brain gets a small, immediate, predictable hit. Every scroll is a tiny surprise. Your brain loves that. It's easy math. But when you open a blank document, there's no guaranteed hit. You might spend an hour and produce nothing. The dopamine math doesn't add up, not immediately. So your brain, which is genuinely trying to help you feel okay, steers you towards the sure thing. This isn't laziness. This is neurologically rational. The problem is that your brain is making short-term calculations for a life that needs long-term decisions. And it's very good at making the short-term options feel urgent. So here's the verdict. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not just bad at this. You're someone whose brain learned to protect you. And the smarter you are, the more sophisticated those protections became. Procrastination is not a discipline problem, it's an emotional regulation problem, and that changes everything. Because you don't fix emotional regulation with more discipline, you fix it by updating the program. Here's the one shift that changes everything. Stop asking, why can't I start? Start asking, what does starting feel unsafe from? Not, am I lazy? But what is my brain protecting me from right now? When you make that shift, you stop fighting yourself. You start actually investigating what's underneath. And that's when real change becomes possible. 3 clues, 1 verdict. Clue 1, your brain learned that action means risk, and it's been protecting you from that ever since. Clue 2, your intelligence makes you better at imagining failure than starting through it. Clue 3, your dopamine system is running short-term calculations for a long-term life. This case is finally being understood. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 clues hit closest to home? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if you want to keep investigating why you do what you do, this channel is where we solve the case. Subscribe to the channel to dig in why we are the way we are. This case is closed for now. I'll see you in the next one.